Okay.
Cool. You ready?
Welcome to our channel.
Welcome to our channel. We are reviewing the level 2 box of Monti Kids, or I guess it's not really a review. It's really like a splainer.
You're gonna tell me what these things are.
Yeah, we're just gonna talk about it. So let's get started there. What do you know about Monti Kids?
I know that it's a subscription.
Subscription?
And that we subscribe to it.
Yeah, we did. Those two things are true.
And that it came with at least this box came with a bunch of stuff.
Okay, you feel like this is a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of stuff.
Okay.
You haven't told me yet how much it costs.
Surprise.
So, I'll be curious to hear about that. But yeah, I guess there's like smaller subscription boxes that you return.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different kinds of subscription boxes. And okay, let's talk about what Monti Kids is. So, Monti Kids was a Shark Tank product. It was created by a Montessori teacher named Zara Kassam. I wanted to make sure I got her name correct. Okay. Zara Kassam. She's AMI trained, which AMI is Association Montessori International. You know, we've talked about this a lot. Most brain development happens 0 to 3 before a child ever enters a classroom. And most parents aren't equipped with tools to stimulate their growth, their brain development. And so she wanted to create something aligned with Montessori curriculum that made it easy for parents to do that. So it's a subscription kit, but it's also a curriculum. And I think that part is part of what makes it distinct from a lot of the other toy subscriptions that you get. That's in a nutshell what Monti Kids is. It's 0 to 3 years old, and you get a box every 3 months for that 3-month period with Montessori materials. Part of what makes this distinct, and there are some kits that are similar, but these for the most part are all Montessori designed materials. So they are either identical to the materials that Maria Montessori designed or very similar to them, invoking the same skills and principles.
She didn't have access to silicone, I'm gonna guess.
Yeah. So before we go any further, though, I do want to talk about why you don't need to subscribe to Monti Kids to practice Montessori philosophy in your house. You know, this is a very heavily advertised product. If you look at anything Montessori
on your corners
on my
of
corner
the internet.
Of the internet. If you have any connection to the Montessori community online, you have seen Monti Kids. The foundational tenet of Montessori philosophy is that children and all people are intrinsically motivated to learn what they need to learn, when they need to learn it, and they will figure out how to do it. And our job as the adult, as the guide, is to get out of their way. The other thing we can do to be helpful is create an environment that makes it easier for them to isolate and work on those skills. And that's what these materials do, is they are targeting and isolating the skills that our 3-month-old is working on and helping her do that in a more efficient way. Your kid will figure out what they need, and you don't need this stuff. You can put them on the floor barefoot and give them something to hold on to, anything you have nearby, and they will work on the skill they need to work on. So don't feel obligated, but this was helpful for me. I'm a very anxious person. I'm a very type A person, and I felt compelled to follow the letter of Montessori principles as closely as I could with some supplementation. And I realized 3 months in that every month trying to do my own homework and identify the materials that were best suited to the skill set we're looking at right now, and finding them in a sustainable way, and paying for them and paying for shipping. And it was just, I could tell already that it was starting to overwhelm me. That's why it works for us, or we think it works for us. We'll see at the end of those 3 months. But don't feel like you can't do Montessori if you're not up for getting a Monti Kids kit.
It's just a bunch of wooden stuff.
It's just a bunch of wooden stuff.
Like it's
we'll talk about what.
Sure. No, I mean, like, I'm not discounting the value of each individual piece, but it's polished wooden stuff. It's splinter free. It's sized for kids' hands so they can grasp it. And so, like, it's presumably if you've got access to beeswax and dowel rods, you can kind of fashion some of this stuff on your own. But I agree with you taking the thought out of it is nice. You were so thrilled the day this came to do an unboxing.
Yeah.
And I think I put you off a day while we figured all this out, but like she really wanted to get into this box. So some of the footage is going to be from the first time we opened this thing up.
Yes. So let's start with, I counted, I think there's 13 different materials here for the next 3 months.
Okay.
And this could easily be all the toys you get. Like we're probably going to supplement with some other stuff because there's like specific materials I want to introduce and those kinds of things. But you could just do this and have everything you need for 3 months. You get the quick start guide, which has a description of each of the materials and how to introduce them. This also has a companion online where it shows videos of how to introduce them, as well as research briefs for what benefits each material has, which I knew that, but I didn't know how comprehensive it would be, and that was a really exciting thing. And that's, again, part of what makes it not just like a toy subscription box, but a curriculum.
Yeah.
And then you get this toy timeline that tells you when to introduce or what order to introduce each material in. If you have some Montessori knowledge, or even if you have no Montessori knowledge, it's really helpful in kind of walking you through baby steps of incorporating this philosophy into your lifestyle. I know a lot of folks in the Montessori community online are former teachers, current teachers, again, people who have had 2 or 3 kids, and so it's old hat for them. They don't necessarily need this, but I think for newbies, it's a very helpful tool, or I'm hoping it will be. You tell me how much you think this is worth, now that we've talked about what it is.
Yeah, and you said there are 13 toys, and this is supposed to carry us through the second 3 months of her life.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to figure that it's like $10 per toy or like material. Packaging, branding, shipping, I'm thinking like $200. Oh God.
So there's solid wood, and $10 is a low estimate. Each level, I think they're all the same. Each level is $297.
Okay. Okay, that's the big reveal. If you had bought all of these materials individually, how much would it cost?
$340.
Okay, so that's $50 off.
Yeah, it's about 15% savings, and that wouldn't have included the instructional materials that come with it.
Okay.
And that's the other thing I forgot to mention. In addition to there's online guides, the paper guides, the videos, the research, they also include, and I've yet to use this, but their customer service apparently includes developmental advice. So it's not just a phone center. It's supposedly AMI, or at least Montessori trained individuals who are responding to questions about development, when to introduce materials, etc. This is level 2, so this is for ages 3 months to 6 months.
And she just turned 3 months.
Yes, or kind of
12 weeks.
12 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
And so what we're really working on, we've got a little bit of language, but what we're really working on is grasping and core strength, and then some introduction to solids. And I'm really excited because I have heard the term, or read the term, scaffolding multiple times. It's pretty contextually obvious what that means, but these materials like really solidified what scaffolding means.
And what does it mean?
And so when you're scaffolding, you start with the simplest expression of that skill, and then as you've begun to master that, you introduce more challenge.
Got it.
And scaffold your way. And like I said, contextually, that's kind of obvious, but as I was reading through the descriptions of each of these grasping materials, it really clicked for me.
They're building
Yes.
on each other as you introduce them.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. So our first material is this little wooden book. This is a language material, but it's designed to be small. So this is smaller in size than our board books.
It is, yeah.
So
by about half.
Yeah, so the idea is that she can better engage with it. It's obviously baby proof because it's polished sealed wood. And the key thing, the thing that makes it a Montessori material in addition to that, is that it uses real photos of real things. So we're introducing language about dogs and rabbits and goldfish, etc. And it doesn't have any text, which is intentional because it encourages us to have a discussion. You know, children learn language through serve and return interactions. And so books without text encourage the readers, child and adult, to have a discussion, to go back and forth and talk about, oh, that's a blue parrot. I wonder what it sounds like, whatever. And have a dialogue and make reading an active, engaging thing rather than a passive thing. So we have a square rattle, a grasping beads, and interlocking discs. You tell me what you think these skills are isolating. These materials are isolating.
I mean, I think like you said earlier, grasping. This has plenty of places where she can get her fingers in and get a grasp on it. She has another rattle, this rattle actually, that she likes to play with. So I have a feeling that the noise has something to do with that. This I'm not so sure. This is approaching the extent of her grip, and yeah, that I have no idea.
Okay, so what do you think makes this different from this or this?
I mean, the shape is square. One of these things is not like the others.
Why do you think it's square?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it provides more opportunities for grasp because instead of one, you have 4.
You're so close. You're
5.
so close. So we're scaffolding. This was one-handed grasping.
Okay. Oh.
This invites two-handed grasping.
Which she's already kind of doing.
Exactly.
She's grabbing her own hands.
Exactly.
Like that.
So this is observation. We've started to really in the last few weeks, like we're kind of behind, but she has started to bring her hands across the midline in the center and hold them. And so this is a great opportunity to introduce materials that encourage that midline.
Oh, and like passing it back and forth. Okay.
Yeah.
Smart.
This also requires hand-eye coordination. She has to see it. And specifically, when you cross the midline, it helps integrate your left and right hemispheres of your brain.
Okay.
So bilateral coordination, moving 2 sides of your body at one time. Part of how we can encourage them to hold things is by creating novelty, which is part of why you introduce new toys / materials and rotate them. These are our first 3 materials. One of the cool things in the research that I didn't know about, they have likened hand movements. You know, we talk about this with her mobiles, her tactile mobiles all the time. Is she hitting it on purpose? Is she hitting it on accident?
Yeah.
We don't really know. Is she learning cause and effect? That repetitive movement, even if it's not intentional, is wiring her brain. And that just like vocalizations, just like babbling is the forerunner to speech, accidental movement is the forerunner to intentional movement. So even though
that makes sense.
She doesn't know what she's doing or isn't trying to do it, it's still collecting that data in her brain, wiring those neurons, and teaching her, oh, if my hand moves like this and hits that, it makes that noise. So
that makes sense. That's interesting.
That's what we're trying to do with these is not teach her. She's learning on her own. Encourage her to continue crossing the midline and exploring cause and effect.
Okay.
And working on refining her grasp.
Okay.
We're into week 4 with more grasping materials. So these materials are it's more the same. This is where we get to scaffolding. Is it's still encouraging hand-to-hand grasp, but they're more complicated. They're more, this is a very simple palmar grasp, and this requires using fingers to get a good hold on it.
Pinching. Yeah.
It has moving pieces, right? And this is just this. I mean, it's still weird shaped and fun for grasping, but it's also for teething, which we think she might be doing.
Yeah, we might be there already.
Something they noted that was fun is that in pacifier things, which we've been on a pacifier journey, this is theoretically an ideal pacifier because she has to use her hands to keep it in her mouth.
Got it.
So she's getting the suck reflex that she needs, but she also has to actively engage that at least one-handed hold, if not two-handed hold.
I'm curious to get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. She does not care for pacifiers.
No. Let's see.
Kind of at all.
Yeah.
Back to bells.
Back to bells. So the first one we introduce is these rings.
Okay.
Which, in sustainable material things, this is all polyester, which makes me sad.
Yeah, I was going to interrupt and ask you what we know about the stain/paint used for
That's a good question.
I saw that the materials, at least this first couple, had disclaimers about how they had passed safety tests.
Yeah, so it says the wood is all FSC certified wood, 100% non-toxic water-based stain and finish.
Okay, great.
So, yeah, safe materials. I think
Safe
that's
to chew on.
one of the things that they say is that they're the only safety certified kit or something like that.
Cool.
So, again, more two-handed grasping, but we've added another layer of complexity, texture, and that there's even more moving pieces. You know, she has to figure out which ring she's grabbing and in relation to the other rings. This is a dolio.
I can't even fathom what the... Like, I saw this the first night you opened it up, and I was like, what the heck is this for?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just... I haven't gone in-depth on it. In interesting things, I told you this as we were opening it, I have only been able to find one commercially available version of this, and it was $52, not including shipping, which is part of what drives up the expense.
Yeah.
I also was not able to find this at all. I think this is maybe a Monti Kids exclusive material.
Okay. So this is still just like a rattle, basically.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're scaffolding skills. This is a rattle, but this is really leveling up because you can't see it because of the floor, but it rolls, and so this is a crawling activity as well. So she can hold it and shake it, but if we put it on the floor
she can also chase it.
Yes, exactly,
okay.
And it'll encourage her to move. So the next thing, and they skip a couple weeks, which we'll talk about that. So the next thing is actually week 7. So this was week 5. So we take a break from week 6, introducing things, and then in week 7. We start introducing blocks, and we're supposed to introduce blocks one at a time. And initially they just serve as another grasping material. These are significantly smaller than traditional blocks you would find in like a preschool classroom. They are designed for infants. Again, this is not a thing you can like find on the market. Is infant size blocks. When you search that, you just get regular blocks.
Okay.
And then this is an interesting thing. Blocks are not traditionally a Montessori material.
All right.
Because
what makes them a Montessori material now?
Nothing. It's just a beneficial material, and
Gotcha.
that's where I didn't realize there's a bag in here that goes with the blocks. That's convenient.
Great.
They come in the big blocks come in this tray, which is nice for storage. So these are called. Can I hold it up without spilling them?
I think so.
These are called unit blocks.
Okay.
And they're an educational material designed by Caroline Pratt. So the reason blocks are not a Montessori material is because they, like I said, all of these things target a specific skill.
Yeah, they're intentional.
And even materials for older kids will target a specific skill and will also have a control of error.
Okay.
So that you know whether you did it correctly or not.
Okay.
So, and that's built into...
Whether or not you succeeded in your work.
Well, it's not even about succeeding, but it encourages it offers feedback for the child without an adult telling you did it wrong.
Got it.
So if you have stacking rings that don't stack up correctly, or you have puzzles that the pieces don't go in correctly, or that kind of thing, the child knows.
Deductive reasoning.
Yes. Oh, I did something wrong. Let me start over. Blocks don't offer that. But unit blocks are designed proportionally to each other. Mm-hmm. So they introduce children, and we are not math people. We're going to need help when it comes to math education, but they introduce children to mathematical concepts because they come in proportions to each other. So fractions, these are 2 halves of a whole, and also geometric concepts. So they're very specific for that purpose, and they're little. But like I said, we'll just start out. And they explain this. They say, they'll play with these for years. You're just starting out by offering them another grasping material, which will eventually become a 2-handed rattle.
It's like color and...
Yeah, it's just fun. So,
cool.
Those are the blocks. And then the final material, which is week 11, is the dining set.
This one, as a first-time parent, pains me to think of our child growing up so quickly that she will be using.
Yes, we won't need this for a while, and they suggest introducing it in week 11, but we'll determine when she's ready for solids by the signs of readiness she shows.
So, a couple of shot glasses. Woo! Milk shots.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have tiny child-sized real metal fork and spoon.
And she was playing with her spoon this morning.
Yeah, we gave her her spoon this morning while we had breakfast. Yeah. Silicone bowl, which, in all honesty, I will probably trade this out for something real.
Yeah, ceramic.
Or glass or even wood, but something that has some weight. But I understand this is the choice that is most appealing to most people.
Yeah, and we were noticing this, and you may have seen me picking at it down here off camera. This attracts pet hair and dust and lint like none other. Yeah. And so, look at all the lint that is on here. And it's winter while we're recording this, so static is grabbing on it. But a ceramic or a glass plate wouldn't do that.
Right. And people are generally concerned about kids throwing, and that's a real thing. But
that's part of learning cause and effect.
You got it. Natural consequences. Yeah. One, a ceramic bowl will probably be a little bit too heavy for her to lift anyways, and if she breaks it, we'll have the opportunity to have a conversation about how when you break things, they're broken. So this will probably get some use, but it won't be my first preference.
I was saying that your grandmother, who is a big fan of properly setting the table, would enjoy this.
So I did want to talk about this. I saw this online in the pictures.
This is silicone too.
This is silicone. And in my head, I don't know why I thought it was cheap, but I thought it was cheap. I thought it was just like laminated paper.
Yeah.
So when we opened this and this was silicone, I was like, oh, this increases the value for this a lot more.
Yeah.
Because it is easy to clean, right? So you just wipe it off. It has, I don't know if you noticed,
it's got grip on the back.
It's got grip on the back. And so in Montessori things, the reason it has the table setting on there, which I had forgotten about this, but this is helpful, is children, particularly children under 3, children under 6, have a really strong sense of order. They have a need for things to be in their place because, again, they're learning to understand the world. And so having consistency, having patterns is helpful in saying, okay, the fork always goes on the left side of the plate. So this helps them establish that pattern. It also helps establish the sense of order at the table. She will know that where her placemat is where she sits.
Okay. Yeah.
And it makes it
picking up what you're putting down.
Easy for us as she becomes, independent in the sense that she can walk around. She can set the table herself. She'll be able to say, oh, my fork goes where the fork outline is, my spoon goes where the spoon outline is. So that's why the placemat exists from a Montessori perspective, showing her that she is just like us. And is able to use a real metal fork and a real metal spoon communicates to her that we trust her, that we respect her, that we believe that she is totally capable just like we are. Which brings us to our tiny metal cup.
Yeah. There's this like pervasive disbelief in a child's ability to use a cup that I had never thought about until we started exploring this philosophy, and then I started looking around and noticing that every child like 9 and under was using a sippy cup. Which I didn't do as a kid. This seems to be like a newer, or maybe it's like it's coming back around parenting thing, but like I had never thought about it and I'd never considered it, but the philosophy that you can just give your kid a little cup and if they spill it it's okay was like like a light bulb moment.
Because we're teaching more natural consequences, cause and effect. The cup tips over, water comes out.
If you spill this on your face and get all wet, you're going to learn to not do that anymore.
Right. And it's not very much, right? It's a tiny cup.
These are really cute.
It's the size of her hand. Again, I can tell that these are metal because somebody was concerned about
breakage.
We will probably also get some shot glasses or glasses that are similar in size to this so that she can practice with those. Again, having different weights, that's my main feedback for this is everything is beautiful and lovely and I love it. Mostly everything is wood, and so I want to introduce some more metal in terms of the grasping materials and probably some glass for the eating materials. So the reason that we're so close.
Just waking up in there.
The reason that there are 2 cups is, which I wondered this when we opened it, I was like, why are there 2 cups? Is to model. So we give her 1 cup and we keep 1 cup and we show her. Now I'm very curious because our hands fit around this in a very different way than her hands will fit around it. But that's why there are 2 glasses, and that's what everything in the dining set is for. The last thing I wanted to talk about is, like I said, each of these items is corresponded with a week. And there are weeks where there aren't materials, but because this is more than just a toy kit, for those weeks there are guides online about specific topics. So there's one about concentration and play, there's one about cognitive development, and I think and motor development and other activities you can do at home. So again, all of the materials are lovely and beautiful, and I'm very excited about them, and they're expensive, right? In real life, outside of Monti Kids, they're expensive.
Yeah.
In addition to that, though, what we're also getting is a lot of information, and a lot of information that's organized in a way that's very easy to consume, because I think that's one of the challenging parts about getting introduced to Montessori, particularly if it's just online and you don't have someone in real life, is sorting through all of the pieces of information, which is part of what we want to help do. Is
all the people selling you things.
Yes. That's an important disclaimer that I should have said at the very beginning. Montessori is not a trademarked term. It's not a copyrighted term. So anybody and anyone can slap Montessori onto their product, and it makes it really hard if you don't have a somewhat in-depth knowledge of the philosophy to actually know, okay, why is this being called a Montessori product? And some things are materials that Maria Montessori actually designed that target and isolate a skill. Like, actually, this is the best example. And some things are just things that align with that philosophy.
I do think it's important to note that like part of what you're paying for is somebody else did all the legwork for you. You're paying for somebody's knowledge and expertise and the hours that they put into creating this, so you can go on with your 9-to-5 life and this will show up without all that research happening to you.
Yes, exactly. So
okay.
Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm really excited about having this just like done for the next 3 months.
That is a good point. It's like off our minds.
Right. And everything else that I purchase over the next 3 months is for fun, I guess is what it is.
Supplementary.
Yeah. As opposed to thinking like, okay, what do we absolutely need to have to isolate these skills? Because now I know we have that covered. Thanks for joining us. Let us know in the comments if you've gotten a Monti Kids kit, what you thought of it, if there are other subscription services you got that you like. Like BC mentioned, we're probably going to be looking into some rental ones as well that we might talk to you about. And let us know what Montessori content you're interested in, what respectful parenting content you're interested in, and we'll see you soon.